tables, because that's what people seem to have the most problem with. That's the most questions I have been asked about lately, is about how to put my tables together. The trend now is to make more of a table scape rather than just putting one arrangement right in the middle of your table, so that you're able to use more things. Because we've tended now to not have as much clutter about the house and everything's more clean lined, we got all this stuff stuck in the closet and in the cabinets, so the time to pull it out is for special occasions. So I'm going to show you today, we're going to pull out some stuff and use things that we already have and then add to what we got. Anytime we start a project, no matter what it is, whether you're setting your table, changing a complete room in your home, any project you have, the first thing you have to do is decide what you want to do. Choose what you're doing. And a good place to start, of course, is you got to have something that's going to be your inspiration, whether it be a picture in a magazine, or something you've seen on Pinterest, or something you have at home that I want to use this, so how can I use it? Whatever it is, you've got to have a thought in your head first to start with. I have so many people who come to me and say, I need a floral arrangement to go on my dining room table. Okay? And then I have to start trying to pull out of them. What colors you got? What do you have in mind? I don't know. What colors do you want to use? I don't know. What kind of container do you want to use? I don't know. Well, you got to have a thought. You got to have something to start with. The next thing you do is, once you figure out, okay, this is what I want to do, you got to figure out, what do I have that I can already use? Sometimes you will have nothing. You got to start from scratch. Sometimes you'll have something. You'll already have your container, or you'll already have your dishes you want to use for your table, or you'll already have your furniture, whatever. That's the next thing you got to look at. What do I already have that I can use? Then you got to decide, okay, now what have I got to go out and purchase, or what have I got to go out and borrow, or whatever. Like a lot of times you borrow dishes from somebody for special occasions. You got to figure out what do I have now, what do I need to go get, and then if you got to purchase those things, you got to figure out how much am I willing to spend. In my case, it's going to be very little, because I'm just that way. Because I'm going to try to figure out first what I can use, and then I'm going to go and buy. That way, when I go out to buy what I'm going to buy, I know what I'm going to have to buy and how much I'm willing to spend. And not everyone has the luxury of just having an endless supply to spend. But you can still have that same beautiful effect by being resourceful with what you have and what you're actually buying, so you're not buying a lot of extra stuff. Now, yes, it's my job today to sell you something, and I'm going to sell you something today, because I'm going to show you something that you're like, I gotta have that. I hope that's what I'm going to do. And put an idea in your head. Is to plant ideas in your head. So I'm going to share some ideas today to plant in your head, give you some inspiration, so when you go home you start pulling your things together, you'll be able to follow those steps to pull it all together and have a finished product. One of the things I'm going to show you today is, we start, of course, with our dining table, and we're concentrating more on tablescapes and tables today, because that's what everybody's been asking me about. And some of these things you're going to be able to use in your home, but also, ladies, I know a lot of you do church functions. I get asked all the time about those church tables. How am I going to decorate those church tables, those ugly old fold-out church tables? So I got some ideas for that you can use to try to draw attention and not spend a lot of money, because I know in churches we don't tend to have a lot of money to spend. And so some things you can use for that. And then, we've got, of course, just our spring decorating. We've got Easter coming up. We got Mother's Day. We got graduation. And then we do have a lot of church functions with brunches and just different things going on at church this time of year. So this kind of, I hope, give you some ideas on some ways to set your table. So we're going to start out. Let me move. This is what we used to do. We just stick an arrangement right in the center of the table, put down our dishes, and we call it quits. Well, like I said, because another reason too, we don't use our dining table so much anymore, because we have other places that we eat, whether we're sitting on the couch or sitting in the recliner, we're eating from there. We don't use our dining tables as much, or we've got a separate table that we used to eat on. So now we can leave them set them pretty, and leave that. Back in the old days, we'd have to it's still at my house, you got to set it on the table, you got to take it off every time you get ready to eat. So, a lot of us don't have to do that anymore, and we can set our tables and leave them up, setting out, and make them pretty all the time. Kim's my assistant today. So we're going to start out. We've got our tablecloth. This is just an old Battenberg tablecloth that belonged to my mother. And it's got some stains on it. And it's got, I saw even a little hole in it a while ago when I was putting it on here. Doesn't bother me a bit because it was my mother's. So I put that on here this morning just because we need a white, just a base white to start with. One of the things that I'm going to show you that's a bargain for today is this roll of burlap ribbon. We've got these today and they are $1. It's got 10 yards on it. This right here is also $1 a roll. This is a window pane. Now this is paper, so it cannot go on the outside because if it gets wet, it's coming all to pieces. But to decorate inside, like at the church, or for Bible school, for schools, teachers' bulletin boards at school, those kind of things, this is perfect because it's going to be $1 a roll, 10 yards. It makes it really pretty too. You can see it just has good form. But with this burlap, what I've done is I've taken and cut me a piece. This, we've got green and white, we've got pink and white, and then we've got some solid colors of purple and yellow and white and just all colors. And I've cut a length of it, took the edge, and you see you can just pull that little string, pull that right off. It makes sure you have that little raveled, that little edge on it, and it becomes a table runner. Now this is perfect, ladies, for those tables at the church where you just run this down the length of that table. And you don't have to cover the entire table. If you do, I don't know how many tables you'd have to do, so you could even do just a piece in the table. Wouldn't have to necessarily go down the whole length of the table. But this right here, it ends up being like 10 cents a yard because it's 10 yards. So this right here has probably cost 20 cents because it's a couple of yards. And all I did was just cut it and tore the ends off to give me that little edge on it. Also, if you don't want a table runner, you can make placemats. I mean, this is going to cost you 5 cents probably to make your little spring placemats. Isn't that pretty? I did the same thing. I just cut the edges, pull that little string, comes right off. How easy. And I've made my placemat. So now we're going to set our table. First thing I'm going to do is pick out my tablecloth. And then I'm going to put my placemats down. And then I've got to decide on my dishes. Kim, we need just the white set right there. Okay. Now I've got in my mind, I've set my mind of what I want, so I think I'm going to do just something just really springy and fun. So I've got to have, stay in those spring colors. So I've got all white dishes here. Here's my glasses. Now these are not wine glasses, ladies. This is for water or sweet tea.
That's right.
We're not going to serve wine. Okay, and then I got to figure out, okay, now I got to have something for the center of my table. We always tend to think we just got to go overboard and have this huge, humongous arrangement. And as Kim was pointing out, she's got a brunch coming up at her church, and we were giving her some suggestions, and she's like, but what about, they're going to have a contest too, the best table. Well, what about, my guests need to be able to see each other and talk to each other. And I said, it ain't about them guests seeing each other. It's about winning that contest. Because I said, we got to put something big in that table. But she's sweet and she's concerned about them. So because of that, and it is, we need to think of that when we're having our guests. We need to think about being able to converse back and forth and not having to, peep around the arrangements and all that. So I do tend to like to put several things and do small things. So during the spring, we can do just quick little something just to give us some center. And you know that the rule of design is always odd numbers. 1, 3, 5, whatever. But you can do 2. After 2, you don't go to even numbers again. 2 will work, but not 4, 6, or 8. After the 3, always stay with odd numbers. but you can get by, you can do 2. So we got two little arrangements, and I could do 3, but my table's not quite big. If my table were bigger, I'd probably do them this way and line them up down the table. But because my table is small, I'm gonna do 2. And then I got to decide, okay, about my napkins. You gotta have napkin rings, right? So I'm doing green and white, a lot of green and white. These are some little bunny ears that we have up there. Aren't they cute? And I'm just gonna stick my little bunny ears through my napkin, pull my napkin on there, lay that there where you can see it. Okay, and I always, this is an idea I came up with, that because I like to be frugal and I like to make things from nothing. These are clothespins. This is a chicken can for the, the little chunk chicken, like tuna fish, but it was chicken. You could use tuna fish though. And I've just glued my clothespins to one part and glued them on there to make me a little picket fence. And I'm going to set those on my table. Put a little bit of grass. Where's my grass? Grass is out. But I'll just put a little grass in my, do you see my grass? I may have took it up to the front. No, here it is. I knew I had grass somewhere. Okay, so I'm just going to put some grass in my, you got to have grass. This is a great idea for school teachers, Sunday school teachers, and even for Mother's Day coming up, grandmothers and mothers, for the children to make this. I glued these on with E6000. Anybody know what that is? Y'all familiar with E6000? You could build a house with it.
Sticks anything.
My husband's a brick mason, and I told him, forget that mortar mix. I could put that brick on that house with E6000. But it'd be a cute little thing for Mother's Day, for your Sunday school class, or for a teacher to do. If I were, in a teacher's class, they could even put dirt in there and plant grass and let the kids watch the grass grow or the little flowers grow, whatever. But it'd be very inexpensive for a little Mother's Day, for kids to give for their Mother's Day, a little project for them. And then I'm just going to add some eggs. I keep lots of eggs, different little Easter eggs, because I just love eggs. And so I'm just going to add my little eggs in there. Let me just stick another one over here just so y'all can see them good. Okay, what y'all think? You like that?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And how easy, and it took just a few minutes. The longest thing I did was gluing these little clothespins on. And that wasn't hard or took a lot of time either. Alright, so maybe that's not the look I'm going for. I want something different. Here you go, Kim. We can put one of these up there too, if you want to. Maybe we want to just add a different little bit of a color in there. And everybody is, one of the reasons people tend to not do a lot of this is time. But also it kind of gets intimidating. But you can do very easy things and have the same look or even sometimes even a better look than somebody's put in a lot of time and a lot of money and everything just by doing something real quick. That's what I'm going to show you today, just real quick things. So I just got 3 little pots. I stuck a piece of styro in. Take these little fern bushes, just stick that down in there. And I do have 3 this time, because I'm going to cluster them close together. And we're just going to kind of make a little garden thing. Maybe you're having a little garden party or a little spring tea. We just need it to look kind of gardeny. And then so because maybe it's Easter, and so I'm going to put a little egg in there. long did that take me? You know, that's a lot of times that's our excuse for not doing things, is that it just takes so much time, but it really doesn't. Okay, so we've got that in there. You know, the little white birds. Let's see the little birds. If you leave here with no other thought today, this is the thought I want stuck in your head. Spray paint is my friend.
Amen.
I spray paint everything. It stands still long enough, I'm gonna spray paint it. These were some little brown birds that my sister brought me that I have no clue where she got. But when people don't want something, they tend to bring it to me. Ann brought me something this past week. So they were brown, they were cute, but I wanted them to be white so I could have my white table setting today. So I went out and I spray painted these little birds. And while I was doing this, I had my little granddaughter out there who's 3, and she'd say, "Mimi, that paint smells good. That paint," no, that's not that kind, the other one. "That paint smells good, Mimi." And I'm like, "Oh, I think you need to go in the house. This might not be a good idea." So I've just got my little birds. I'm just going to set my little birds all around my table.
But yeah, I'm
See? Or, if I don't want to do birds,